Happy Sunday, best day of the week, my favorite time of the week. It is time for Ask Away with your coaches at Fitness Protection. And tonight, it's not just Coach MK. We are about to introduce you to the newest addition to the Fitness Protection team. I am super excited about it. She has a lot to do tonight, so we're gonna have her on first and let her keep moving because I think her husband might be a healthcare provider, and that means that he's really busy and stuff. But someone's got to be burning dinner, and if it's not her husband, it's going to be her. Everybody give a warm welcome, and though I know we probably don't have anyone in the room yet, it's still early, to the newest addiction. She will be your new addiction, the newest addition to the Fitness Protection team, and that is Miss Lovey. Hello, Lovey. Tell us a little bit about yourself after you
Hi,
unmute
guys.
yourself.
Hi, so my name is Lovey, and as MK said, I am one of the new members of the team, and I'm super excited. I am what one would call a person who's still trying to figure out all what they want to do in life. And so I love fitness, and I've become a fitness trainer in my own home. I run, I dance, I pretty much do everything to keep me sane, and fitness is a big part of that. I've got two boys. We live in New Hampshire, and my husband, like I said, is a medical professional. So he just got home, which is why it's sort of like frazzly right now. And I clearly also love doing wild and crazy things, hence the Blue Hair Sunday. So this is who I am. And I'm excited to join the crew and meet all of you and work out with you guys and help you sort of find your happy place and reach your goals. So yeah, that's who I am.
Tell us, but I love that you referenced the hair, which we can't see, but not the sparkles on both cheeks when you tell us that you like to do wild things. Tell us about that.
So in the past, I've definitely done some things that my friends and family think I'm crazy for doing. You know, certain races that require 8 hours worth of time and energy, running up mountains and doing all sorts of nutty things like that. I used to play rugby, which I miss tremendously, but at a certain age, you kind of don't want to have black eyes showing up to your kids' parent conferences. So had to give that up temporarily, but I do adore rugby as a sport and used to play a lot in college and after college for a period of time. I mean, it's endless. Like you're not gonna be able to see it, but there are like glitter and sparkles on my face. I love everything that just brightens up life. So that's that's kind of who I am.
Me too. No, I love that you had those on your cheeks when I asked you to take this position like a week ago, and still have them on your cheeks right now, which is just incredible to me.
Yeah, it's one of those things where people are like, "That's interesting," and other people are like, "Oh my God, that's awesome!" So
I love it. I totally love it. I just bought a sparkly pair of sneakers this afternoon that I've had my eye on for the longest time, but I was like, oh, it's kind of silly. Oh, the money. But I'm like, you know what? Why not? What I need right now, what the world needs, is a little more sparkle. If I can justify putting them on my feet, you can absolutely keep them on your face.
Absolutely. At some point, someday, I will show you my shoe and sparkle collection because it's a little out of control, but it makes me happy. So
well, I think
I'm happy you did that.
Since you know my husband, we'll have to do this together so he understands it's not just me. That another woman.
No, it's not.
Like, it's a thing. Good women like good shoes.
Absolutely. It's an important thing. I don't knock it at all.
Not even a little bit. Oh my gosh. Well, last question, and then I know you absolutely have to run. What would you say is like your personal motto when it comes to something like running?
Oh man. When it comes to running, I'm a fan of slow and steady. I am not the fastest runner, but I am the kind of runner who just loves to get out there and enjoy the moment. And every step is sort of another step to completing your goals. So I just say slow and steady and enjoy the race. Like that's kind of where I am.
Would you describe yourself as tenacious AF? Because that's in maybe one of our training plans.
Actually, it's funny because username I used to use for many years was Tenacious D, which coincided with the band that I adore, and also,
amazing.
A nickname I kind of gave to myself. So Absolutely. You were spot on. It's kind of funny that you didn't even realize that
I had
that
no
was
idea.
something. Right.
We're
So,
doing a promotion with it right now to download it for free to experience a 30-day free trial of our stuff. And we've been running this for weeks. And today I got my first pushback on it where someone was like, "Oh, this looks fantastic," writes the nicest note. 5 minutes later, nasty, unsubscribe, don't ever contact me again. I don't like this kind of language. And
shocked.
I was like, all it said was it didn't even say the word. So I like apologized, but now I'm every once in a while I'm like, oh wow. Well, I feel we put this out there for so long to only have one person like openly be like, bleh, I feel is winning at life. But
It is.
anytime
It
I can
is.
say these words or in whole and not lose support is a good day too. So yeah, you.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome.
We can't wait to see more of you and
I'm excited. I'm super excited.
get everybody be seeing your smiling face in Rebuild starting April the 1st. Thank you, Lovey.
And it's not a joke because
Not a joke.
April the 1st. I know. That is also something they'll realize that I'm a touch cheesy, but in the best way possible, right?
Totally. I mean, our cheese is the best cheese. That's totally how I see it.
Awesome. Thanks so much, guys. And I look forward to meeting you all on the fitness floor.
Yes, ma'am. Squee. Have a good one.
You too. Bye.
Thanks. That was Lovey. That is Lovey. Lovey Olaf. And we are super excited to have her on board. She'll be, like I said, kicking everything off, doing the live strength in Rebuild on, oh my gosh, is April the 1st, Tuesday or Wednesday? I don't want to look at a calendar and find out. Whenever April the 1st is, no joke. New blood. Yay! Before we go any further, want to step back and introduce myself. Anyone happens to be new, my name is Coach MK Fleming. I am the founder of the Fitness Protection Program, and this is our weekly segment known as Ask Away, which will be released in podcast form in a few days. If you go and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Castbox, or your favorite podcast player, look for Running Life. It's the official podcast of the Fitness Protection Program. And Lovey Olaf is our brand new coach of Rebuild. Tonight, we're going to go through answering questions step by step. We're going to start with checking in with Locked In Lisa, who, as we learned last week, is a runner of ours who is currently stuck, quarantined at home with an ex who was slated to move out shortly until all of this happened. We're going to check in with her. Then we're going to call out everyone, all of our runners who are winning at life, not just our Runners Interrupted, but all of our runners who are winning at life. We're then going to move on and answer the questions in Ask Away. Sorry, all the questions in Rebuild. Rebuild is a program designed to help either reestablish a fitness habit or rebuild your quote unquote runner's body, just to get you back into the fitness routine. It's not a Couch to 5K program. That is called Build, and that will be opening on May 1st. So Build is for new runners. Rebuild is for runners who are returning to fitness after any period away, usually 6 months or more, long enough that you need a little help just kickstarting that habit and easing back in. Finally, we'll be taking questions from Maintain, which is a program designed to help maintain any modicum of fitness that you are comfortable with. It's a little bit more work than Rebuild. And if you're in there for 3 months consecutively doing at least 80% of the work, you are ready to run a half marathon distance at the drop of a hat. And we're quite proud of that. Runner Interrupted is a program for runners who are not currently able to run, either due to injury, illness, just had a baby, life grabbed you by the face and wouldn't let go. All things considered, if you are a runner not running right now for any reason, we see you, we feel you, and we have a support program for you. Another note, in case you might have missed it this week, we are opening up the text program. The crux of Runner Interrupted is a daily text message from me first thing every morning. And we are opening this up to all participants in the Quaranteam Facebook group, as well as the Fitness Protection Program client base. So it doesn't matter who you are. If you would like to receive these daily text messages, pull up the form for you. All you have to do is fill in that form right there, and we'll add you to the list starting on April the 1st. This is a free program that we provide, or this is a free service we provide to our Runner Interrupted clients, but we are expanding it to everyone considering the state of the world right now. We're not going to talk about that. You get that anywhere else. You are here for something different. You're here for fitness protection. You're here to hear about somebody who is probably having a rougher day than you are. one we can all laugh at. Here we go. Locked in Lisa. Locked in Lisa checking back in. Thank you for taking my question. I wanted to respond to some of the comments from last week since y'all think I'm slightly deranged. Not slightly. Not slightly. We love you. All of my friends did tell me to kick him out, so please don't slander them. But he's a nice person and works 150 miles away 5 days a week and is likely going to change careers in the next few months, and this will take him far away. The rental laws are so weird here. This person's not in the United States. That he would have had to sign a lease for 18 months. So I thought I was making, if not a great decision, then not the stupidest decision ever. And honestly, I'm thrilled to not be paying the entirety of the rent and the winter heating bills right now. I will very likely lose my job in May. I had a twist in store for y'all this week, but then life made other plans and a new twist arose. I started showing COVID-19 symptoms 10 days ago, anosmia, which is the inability to smell. Ugh. 6 days ago, this was identified as a symptom, and I got tested on Thursday. Since being identified as possibly having the virus, I have been completely isolated by law, and my roommate has actually been a huge help. We live in a building where we are the youngest folks by a couple of decades, and I don't want to touch anything in the common areas and put anyone else in danger as we wait on the results. Our apartment isn't exactly a one-bedroom. We do have a dining room and an office as well, and we've spent the last week moving furniture around to make the place more habitable for the both of us. We have a large balcony, and the weather seems like it's thinking about getting warmer, so it's not so bad. I wanted to thank you all for the time you put into talking about this. I know that I am very lucky. I am in no physical danger with my ex, as I know a lot of women are, but I think that this is a really important subject to keep talking about. Oh, and just in case you were wondering, we are a legit Taylor Swift song. We are never, ever, ever getting back together, but that doesn't mean that we cannot be friends and even be partners through this very difficult time. I'll check back in next week if y'all want me to. Well, I think we just might. Who knows? This week you're grateful. Next week you might not be. And we got nothing better to do. So yeah, sure, Locked in Lisa. We would love to hear how new developments as they arise in this living situation. Weekly wins. Usually this is just this is Runners Interrupted. We ask them to give us weekly wins, to count their wins, not to sort of like, it's easy when you're not doing the thing that you want to do or that you want to be doing. It's easy to overlook the progress that you've actually made. So we tally this up in the weekly wins. We have since opened this up to basically everyone because there's just so much to celebrate right now. Daniel Failton and Maintain. I did it. Scranton half was canceled, but I did it anyway by myself around New York City. Thank you for all the love and support. And he did great. His first half marathon, Daniel ran a 1:56. Not too shabby. Alicia Budd has been getting in some really consistent runs and has had great support from her husband, who's manning the home front and homeschooling while she still goes into work. We thank you for your service, Alicia, and to everyone who's on the front lines of this, for everyone who's at the CDC, everyone who is working at hospitals, everyone who's showing up and getting the job done to keep everything moving right now, especially people that are not just the people providing healthcare, but also the people who are manning the grocery stores, the people who are making sure that we still have gas in our cars, that we can get places when we need to, the people make sure we still have electricity and running water. Everyone, the repairman who came to our house earlier this week. There are still people that are doing small things that make a really big difference. And I don't think as a society, we appreciate appreciate all of you enough, especially teachers. Y'all gonna get some serious love when all this stuff is over, right? Our homeschool distance learning starts on April the 7th. And boy, I'm not ready for that. Yeah, heck. Oh no, we can say hell yeah around here, Daniel. The Daniel's just commenting in here. Hell yeah, all the way. People who can't handle profanity are not going to do very well in my orbit. Though I must say, I'm far less profane than I used to be even 2 years ago. Something that I'm very proud of. A couple more wins over here in Rebuild. Emily Sorensen got a promotion at work. Yay, Emily. And Ann Rich did too. Congratulations, Ann. That's amazing. I know how hard you both have been working towards those promotions, and I could not be more excited for you or proud of you. Jennifer Sutton is enjoying the balance of having a plan without pressure. It's giving her the opportunity to do some experimenting with her running to see what feels best. Jennifer is in the UK, and I know that she's going through a lot right now. The UK is in a very different position than the United States. So we're proud of you for still being here. We're proud of you for showing up. We're proud of you for taking care of yourself. And I know you're not seeing this right now because you are on a social media hiatus, which I am proud of you for doing that too. It is hard to detach. It is hard to unplug. It is hard to make those those tough decisions to say, this is what I need to do to preserve myself. But we are encouraging everyone to do that right now. Whatever it takes to get by, to get through, or to get to the next day, we want you to do it. Whether you're stress eating or taking a second run, I don't really care. Be careful where you are, though. I hear that the UK is not too friendly to that second run each day. We've been posting links about that. But I don't know about y'all, but I'm not yet to the point where I can run a marathon on my back porch. I'm not ready to think about that. Over in Slow Burn, Kelly Hoffines ran a virtual 10K today and PR'd by over a minute. She has been in our Slow Burn program for the past 8 weeks. She said, I felt really strong despite about 150 more feet of elevation compared to my other 10Ks. We are really excited to hear that, and we're super proud of you, Kelly. Congratulations. Now, moving on to the questions. Tonight might be a little bit shorter than other nights, but I say that now, but I might not have less to say once I get started. First, thank you for being a calm, I said that, calm and safe place for so many of us. Life is hard. COVID is making life harder. And listening to you is the one place that I feel 100% validated that I'm doing the best that I can. I'm so glad to know that listening to me can make anyone feel calm. Yay! I'm going to remind my husband of that later. I mentioned a couple of months ago that I've been living the runner-interrupted life while I mommed and bossed to the best of my ability. Since then, my son was diagnosed as being on the spectrum, in addition to having ADHD. Yay, I have ADHD. We have that in common. And my husband has needed to step out of our lives. Way to lose a whole bunch of excess weight overnight. Yay. This is a good thing. Emotional stability is needed right now, and he can't deliver that and then some. So I will be working in lane 1 of rebuild beginning in April. And it's going to be slow going from building a routine and strength back. It's been a solid 6 months since I've run 3 to 5 times a week. My question is, I have short circuit workouts from long ago. Should I do those or whatever the strength series is for April? Right there, I would say, if you think community is going to be helpful right now, jump into the community. If you just need to do this on your own, use those old circuits. One is not necessarily better than the other. They're all a little different. It can't hurt to do both if you're able to find the bandwidth. Just do one circuit of each day, and you're going to be fine. Stick to the same rules. Apply to those old circuits Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and with these, do them as written, because you really can't go wrong with them as long as you're doing something. It's better than nothing. Some glute firing doesn't really matter how much. I'm also back on the BOSU for around the worlds and extra stability work. Yay for good decisions. It's never a bad thing to do. Again, thank you for having the tether to keep me tied to my identity as a runner, a validation by badassery, and being a wonderful, thoughtful human being. You are so kind. Badassery is what you're doing right now. You are doing some really hard stuff. You're making some really tough choices. And, when in those times when it's felt like the world was falling apart, I'm tempted to look and see how much energy I was expending trying to keep my world together, and realize that the things that I've let go of, it's better for everyone all the way around. So even though this is surely a little destabilizing, there has to be a part of you that's relieved. There has to be a part of you that is like, well, at least now I can do more for myself than I was doing before. And I see you. I see the work that you've been doing. I see the energy that you've been expending. I see all the emotional labor that hasn't been recognized all this time. And I want you to know that I'm proud of you for being here. I'm proud of you for asking these questions. I'm proud of you for reaching out. And more than anything, I am proud of you for showing up for yourself, whatever that means at this point in time. I really, really am. It's not easy. Nothing ever will be, but I can't promise you that it ever will be. And the plans that I give you, the things that I write, participation, it's not contingent on you showing up. It's contingent on me showing up, and I will show up no matter what. You can probably hear I've got the second worst sinus infection I think I've ever had in my life. It's like so bad that like my cheekbones hurt to the touch. But it's like, can I sit up? Yeah, I think we're going to do it. I feel like I just felt the need to show up today, even if no one else specifically felt the need to be here. I tell you that to tell you this. It's about me showing up, not you guys. There's never pressure for you, just a promise from me. And I'm going to be here as long as you need, for as long as it takes. So what tips are there for managing the huge onslaught of exercise videos on social media? I'm doing my best to ignore them, to scroll past them, but good grief, every person I know is sharing their online options since they can't go to the gym. Do my workout, C10, do 10, stupid push-up challenge, trainers sharing their meal tips, their at-home workouts, etc. It's almost impossible to feel like you aren't doing enough, even though I know I am with the rebuild program. It's that nagging voice in my head saying, but you're home all day, add more. How do I put duct tape over that voice's mouth? It's a hard thing to do, but what I would recommend is programming my voice in the back of your head to speak to that voice. So when it says, you should do more, I want you to hear me saying, why? What for? Just like that. Why? What for? If you aren't doing it now, there's a reason. It's not that I don't believe that people are inherently lazy. I don't believe that anyone is inherently missing a piece that could be sold back to you. And I say this again lovingly. Like, you're whole and you're complete. If you're not doing something, there's a reason. The story I like to tell, our story I was telling before I got on this call, before I got on this live stream, I was talking about Pokemon Go. I have never been a huge fan of, I like my games. I have never been a huge fan of Pokemon in and of itself. I think I just kind of missed that curve. I'm a little too old for it. Or rather, it was cool before it became cool after I was cool. I'm not cool anymore, y'all. It's long gone. So when it was recommended by one of my son's therapists, and as a way to get him outside, active and moving and engaging in outdoors. So we downloaded it to my phone. And it's just, this is magic. I love Pokemon Go. It's fun for me. I take it to collect Pokeballs on the Pokestops when I'm doing my runs in the morning. And then in the afternoon, if he's been good, he can earn time for us to go on walks together and catch Pokemon with the balls that I collect. So it's become this thing that we do together it's cool. It doesn't feel forced. The other kids don't feel left out because they don't really get excited about it the way that he does. And he is motivated now, guys. He's like, Mom, did you do your run yet? Did you go get me Pokeballs? Mom, okay, if you don't get your run done before we go to lunch, then we won't be able to join the raid at 2 p.m. Like, this is my 7-year-old saying this to me. Like, this is time management and excitement and monitoring me and monitoring myself. And I tell you that he does not do this in any other area of his life, and he never has before. So we just found the right thing that kind of unlocked that part of him. And if you have found that thing for you, then why push for more? If we're going to hang on to this until it becomes destructive, because everything's good until it's not. For right now, it's working and it's balanced. So until you find your equivalent of Pokemon Go that gets you excited, why would you do more? That voice in your head that says you should do more, why? What for? That's it. Right now, the name of the game is get through the day and survive. All of us are dealing with a different set of challenges and a different set of pressures. And this is completely unprecedented. Yes, when I've said in the past that I lived in Hong Kong through SARS, what I meant was this isn't my first pandemic, and I don't panic buy the same way other people do, and staying indoors doesn't freak me out as much. But that's also partially lucky because I'm a homebody. At the same time, this is unlike anything we've ever seen. We have no precedent for it. There's no playbook. There's no right answer or wrong answer, only what you need to get for yourself each day. And as I said in my Instagram post today, anything that you did, if you binge ate something, like not to poke fun of binge eating, but if that was your relief, if you felt the compulsive behaviors coming back, if you felt restrictions coming back, ask yourself, is this helping me or hurting me? But recognize that what you're doing is coping with an incredibly stressful situation that none of us necessarily have the tools to manage. Whatever it is that you're doing right now, I want you to feel safe. I want you to feel loved. And I do not want you to feel any pressure to do more than what you already are. You showed up, you connected with me, you connected with the community, you asked a question, you put yourself out there. That is huge. Acknowledging the pressure that you're under, that is huge. Why in the world would you let anything make you feel the need to do more? That thing is wrong. It is not acknowledging you or validating you or just because you're home all day. That's stupid. I'm home all day. Let me tell you, being home all day is hard, especially if you have children at home, especially if they have distance learning to do, especially if you have a spouse there who's trying to work behind you, and especially if neither of your jobs seem to care that you have kids at home or that there's pandemic happening and all your managers are trying to cover their butts by making sure productivity does not go down, even though that expectation is stupid. Stupid. So I think you're doing great. My tips for managing social media is that you might need to unfollow some people for a time. That's okay. It doesn't mean you unfriend them. It just means that if you're in your Facebook feed, you say like unfollow for 30 days. You can do that person by person. In your Instagram, it's a little more complicated, but I don't use Instagram that much because you actually do have to unfollow. But generally speaking, Facebook and Instagram are connected. So anyone that you say you don't want to see for the next 30 days in your Facebook feed is not going to show up in your Instagram. So that's one way of doing it. Another, and this is how I have a lot of clients that navigate Facebook the same way that I do, up until recently when I've been scouring the net for memes and funny things and lighthearted things that I can share in the Quaranteam Facebook group. I spent very little time in my Facebook feed. Almost none. I would post things and interact with people on my page, but I did not go into my feed and scroll and see what people were doing very often at all, which the downside of that meant that I missed big events and occasions. I missed babies being born and weddings happening. If I wasn't directly involved in it, I probably didn't know that it happened. But it really did keep my head where it needed to be during a time when I did feel less than and was subject to a certain amount of FOMO. Once that passed and I started to get a little more secure and saying, hey, I'm doing what works for me and I'm good with what works for me, and this is awesome, I had a very different bend on Facebook, and then I could go into my feed. And that's where I've been pretty consistently since 2013. But I tell you this, before that, I had bookmarked both on my home screen, on the screen on my phone, and in my bookmarks, either the Facebook groups that I participated in or the places in Facebook where I needed to show up on a regular basis. And I would just go directly there and skip the feed entirely. So the temptation, or I basically skip the advertisements because I didn't like what was being advertised to me, and there aren't advertisements in Facebook groups. So by going directly into the 5 or 6 Facebook groups that I was super active in, I missed the advertisements. I missed the things that could make me feel bad, and that's how I would miss all those messages. So this is a very long answer, but it's just not that simple. It's not like there's a part of your brain that we can turn off the caring, and we wouldn't want to do that because that's a little going a little too far. That's an overcorrection. It's good that you care and it's good that you notice. At the same time, if that isn't what you want to be seeing right now, if it feels like pressure, then we need to sort of mute it. So unfollow the people that are sharing these things compulsively. And also remember, if this is something that worked for them, they're just trying to share something good. They're probably not judging you for not doing it. They're just trying to hand the most digestible possible form of a thing that they like out there. And it's not necessarily you're less than for not doing it. So we can change the voices in your head, but it usually starts with having mine being like, why? What for? Because I hear that I'm an earworm and I get in there and it's hard to get rid of me. Drugs and therapy help. Yay! Okay, moving on to the questions and maintain. Alex Hutchison just wrote an article stating that warm-ups don't matter. Do we still need to do silly toes? That is not what Alex Hutchison said. Dr. Hutchison, for those of you who are unfamiliar, is a brilliant scientist living in Canada whose life's work is to performance in sport. And he wrote an article saying that warm-ups, that specifically the type of warm-up you do, does not impact performance. Meaning, they took a whole bunch of elite athletes and had them run like a 100-meter dash, not specifically, but I'm just giving the example. They were all doing the same thing, say it was a 100-meter dash, real fast, with warm-ups and without. And the warm-ups did not impact their speed. So on that is what they were trying to get at is one type of warm-up superior to another. We're not elites, we're not professional, and we don't do the warm-up specifically to be faster. We do silly toes to warm up our tendons, joints, and ligaments before we start something like a 2.5 hour long run, before a run that's going to have some really hard components. Considering that we're adults and that we're compressed for time and we want a lot out of our bodies, then yeah, it's important to get those parts lubricated, the joints especially lubricated, before you get started. So I stand by it. Silly toes serve a purpose, but it's never been a performance purpose. It's been about preventing injury and preserving longevity type of purpose. And that we have lots and lots and lots of studies backing up the need to do in the long run. So that is not what Alex Hutchison said. He did write an article, but that is not what he said. Yes, you still need to do silly toes unless, all this time I've been training you a professional athlete and I didn't know it, then the silly toes are not going to help your performance at all. Next question. I'm still planning to use the Tenacious AF plan for my marathon that is tentatively still scheduled for June the 7th in Seattle. Yay! I may not be reading the plan correctly. You probably are. But what does the heart rate line suggest? 60 minutes of I'm reading Cardio Maximization for Mondays and Wednesdays. Part of me was on the fence about even starting to ramp up training. I'm doing maintain for a couple months due to the charming virus we're all dealing with in the world right now. But my best running buddy, who is not running as far these days, reminded me that I could do a virtual one around our hometown. The most brilliant and obvious idea. Brilliant and obvious, and Dan did it too. So if it's good enough for Dan, it's good enough for all of us. If you want to do it, yeah, you. We'll cheer. We'll even let you take over our Instagram account while it happens. So I think I'm ready to do it. Hacking it alone will be a challenge in and of itself. So, yay, doing a marathon on your own, amazing. Doing that in Seattle, amazing. But when we're looking at the cardio maximization, generally what we're trying to do is find that happy spot where you are using more oxygen, or that flexion point where your body is now using more glycogen than oxygen on every single run. So the 140 cap is there to ensure that your easy effort stays easy, that you are absolutely below the line where you would be metabolizing very much glucose at all. The higher you go above 140, the greater the chances are that you're using some glucose. And cardio maximization is where we're hitting that point where it flips, because initially it's like a little bit of glucose, a whole more glucose, and then like all of a sudden the glucose consumption has surpassed the oxygen consumption. So that is what I mean by cardio maximization, because once we've gone past that, you're into anaerobic territory. And anaerobic territory just doesn't do us a whole lot of good where we are as hobby joggers right now for an endurance event. There can be a time and place for it, but honestly, there's so many other levers we can pull that's going to get you more bang for your buck. And anaerobic work carries much higher risks of injury, especially if you don't necessarily have the specific strength to support it. So I tell you that to tell you this, that's how I look at it. If that does not get you, if that's not helpful, reach out and let me know, and I'll give you a more specific answer. Dan metabolized chocolate cake from Saturday night this morning. Yeah, that means that you ran that race just right, Dan. Awesome. I hope it was amazing. I need chocolate cake. Hi, Coach. I'm struggling to build a new routine with running now that I'm working from home. I'm excited about all the new opportunities to run at different times of the day, but I'm missing all my usual cues that trigger me to run. Any suggestions on how to set up a routine that works? Part of my ADHD is that we were told early on, or at least I was told early on, that I would benefit from having routines instead of schedules. And so that has been deeply ingrained in me for a long time. In the past year, we no longer have morning help. So trying to establish a morning routine has been really, really difficult, because for years it was the same thing. And the reason that that these morning routines were crucial for us was so that we wouldn't accidentally take our medication twice or forget that we already took it, especially if you're taking the medication that you're assigned as a powerful stimulant. So it's very high stakes in the routines that we had. So to that end, it's literally, what do I need to get out of this period of time, and writing it down and keeping it as simple as possible. When I watch people make schedules, they stress me out, because I'm like, if you can't remember it, if you can't memorize it, you're probably not going to do it. So these long, elaborate schedules that have like 15 or 16 slots and go the whole day, I know if that works for other people, awesome. It would never work for me as someone with ADHD. Remember, routine over schedule every single time. I have a morning ritual. I have a nighttime ritual. And I have rituals around lunchtime to make sure that happens, because if I'm in the zone and working and in a good place, I might just forget to eat. So all of that. I don't know specifically how to tell normies how to do this. I can tell you, as someone with ADHD, this is how I make a routine. The routine has to come from a purpose. What do I need to get? And it sounds like you need the cues to make sure that your run happens, so that you're not thinking, I'll do it later, and then later never happens. I would work it into there has to be some point of consistency in your day. And if there isn't, then we create one. Let's say it's 8 a.m. When the clock strikes 8 a.m., okay, that's going to kick off. Then you can put that in your calendar. It's going to kick off an alarm, which is going to kick off the morning routine, because that's going to get you out the door. And not neuronormative. Okay. If you're not neuronormative, again, I don't know. If you're not neuronormative, hopefully this will work for you too. But there has to be some part of your day that has to start, whether you're going to work, and you're expected to be there by 8:30, or you have to eat, and that's going to happen first thing. I know that for me now, I'll wake up, have my breakfast, and then wait for my husband to come downstairs, and I need an hour to pass between the time that I eat and the time that I go for my run. So if I'm downstairs by 6:30 eating, then that means by 8 a.m., one way or another, it's time for me to get my run done, and that's programmed in my calendar. So that's one way of doing it. I can also, by then, my medication would have kicked in. So there's a window of time when and it all comes down to timing. It was all easier when I just woke up, went for my run, came back, and got my medicine taken before 8 a.m. so that it couldn't keep me up too late. But that's where it comes from. So first sit down, ask, what do I need to get? It sounds like a starting cue, and then create a small routine around a routine that you already have that would facilitate it. Hopefully you're eating 3 times a day, start there. Or you're getting up and getting out of bed, start there. One of those 2 places. That's what I would do. And again, keep it super simple. I get out of bed, I go straight to the bathroom. Like I leave on Saturday morning, so I'm doing my long run. I leave my run clothes on the bathroom floor. So I get up, I go to the bathroom because that's one of the first things I do every morning. Like I wake up and I need to go potty. After a good night's sleep. And I will see my clothes on the floor. And once I've seen them, I'm like, oh, I have to put those on. And that is sort of my cue to get out the door. Like, well, I have to do this now. And again, keeping it simple, the more elaborate they are, you can get into OCD territory, sort of obsessive. I cannot go for a run unless I have, you know what I mean? And we don't want to get there. We just want to have the cue. Okay, I see this. Now I do this. Now I do this. Go. So no more than 4 steps, and you've got a tenable routine. Thanks for the long run advice a few weeks ago. It really helped. Yay! I've been starting out very slowly and figuring that I'm warming up for at least the first mile, so the numbers there don't matter. I'm also making sure I'm hydrated, and today's run was especially great. Thank you. Yay! You're welcome. I'm so glad that helped. I know right now between the sinuses and allergies and all the stuff in the air, I am dry as a bone. I'm drinking more water than I've ever drunk. So if you've had a terrific long run, that warms my heart. I've not had a good one in a couple weeks, so I look forward to having one again. Thank you for having one on me. Aaron, here, my 25K trail race for Saturday, April the 4th, was postponed until November. However, I still want to run the distance this Saturday. Yay, Dan, you've inspired everybody. Look at this. I'll be doing it on the roads as all the trails around here have been closed. I mainly want to know how to adjust the heart rate race plan from a half to a 25K. Let's just call it 16 miles. I'm not going for a time, but I do want to run harder than easy effort. Thoughts? Thank you so much for all that the whole team is doing. It does not go unnoticed. It sure has helped this mama out. I'm really glad to hear that. That makes me so happy. So the first thing that I would do, I have the generic half marathon guidelines on the blog at Coached and Loved. I will grab them and put them in here in the comments and in the show notes, and I'll go put it in Maintain too. Basically, we're not going to change it very much because the difference between, a half marathon and 25K is roughly 3 miles. So all we're going to do is add a mile to the first portion. Every race I divided into 4. You've got conserve, reserve, preserve, and then serve up. Everything got all the way to the finish line. So I would add a mile to the first 3 portions. I would not add a mile to the final portion. So adding a mile to, and you could divide this not quite neatly because you're not going to be able to go out much longer than 2 or 3 miles max. So knowing that, you're not really going to be allowing yourself to go completely untethered until about the 13-mile mark. So then we take 13 and we divide it by 3, and that's roughly 4 miles. So we're going to add a mile so we're going to, instead of having what the traditional generic plan looks like, it's going to be about 4 miles, 4 maybe 5 miles, and then balls out all the way to the finish. So that's how I would approach it. And if that's not helpful, let me know. But that's basically what I would do. I don't want you to run. We don't race at easy effort. We keep easy runs at easy effort. Harder runs are at harder effort, and then races are at race effort. The thing is, we don't want to let everything out of the bag too quickly. People don't have a really, broadly and generally speaking, I found over the course of my coaching that even really experienced runners don't have a good sense of gears. Like they trying to find gears when they run it's a lost art, kind of like driving stick. No one does that anymore either. It's like, I have my pace. I'm a 1-pace pony. 8-minute miles. 8-minute miles. Everything I do is 8-minute miles. And I'm like, oh my God, but really, if you're an 8-minute mile for a half, then what's your 5K pace? 8-minute miles. No, it should be faster for 5K because it's shorter and you go, okay, never mind. So to that end, so you have two options. You can follow the generic plan, or you can just go out and see what happens. That's always welcome too. I always encourage people after they've been here for a while and have had a bit of modicum of experience getting to know their body, getting to learn what all these effort levels are. If you think you have found the gear shifts in your body, shoot, go play with them and try them out. That's half the fun of training, is breaking through new levels, and this is how we do it. Okay, and good luck with that. Let us know how it goes. Anyone who's doing a race on your own, let us know. We would like to give you the opportunity to take over the Instagram account, to share photos on our Facebook page. We want to support you and cheer you on while you do this really hard thing by yourself. Final question. My kids are kind of lost. They won't exercise. No sports, no teams, no friends. I can't get them to get out the door. Any suggestions? Pokemon Go. I talked about it earlier. Pokemon Go has worked for my family, a real treat. Other things that you could do, make it fun. Or I get nervous about making it a chore, something that they have to do to earn money, or something that they have to do. If you put it in like running or exercising in the same category as cleaning the toilet or making their bed, then mentally it's going to stay there, and it's going to make it really hard to do training and conditioning, even when the team and the friends come back into the picture. Because you've got to like the work, or you're not going to do the work. There has to be a little bit more than the social draw to it. So really, I would sit down with your kid and just talk to them. Like, if they don't want to do anything, that might not have to do with exercise. That might be depression. And that's something I think a lot of teenagers are prone to anyway. I certainly was as a teenager or preteen. What's the point of all this? It doesn't matter anyway. Find a way to show them that it kind of does matter, or how you use it is going to be a big decider for them too. My kids know that it's my quiet time and it's my alone time. So when I ask for more alone time when I come back home, like, didn't you run today? It kind of bites me a little bit. You had your alone time. You're done now. Talk to us. Okay, that's great. So yeah, find a way. I would say, just if your kid's old enough to have this conversation, it doesn't even have to be a high level sophisticated one. Just remind them that like training is never wasted, and that what we do now is going to make doing this later with their friends in a training and team environment that much sweeter, that much better, and that much more fun. Because there are few things in this life, and I've learned this the hard way more times than I care to admit, than showing up to a place unprepared, not as trained as everyone around me, and being the person who is effectively left behind, trying to catch up and close a gap that is too large to be closed in a short period of time, or even within the season. So it's not, I wouldn't make it necessarily specifically fear-based either. If you don't do this, you'll be behind and you'll never catch up. But rather the reality of, that we're going through right now, this is going to end. And when it does, you got to be ready, because that's the spirit of athleticism. And that is what you signed up for. That when the team comes back together, you are ready for the team. If it's the team that's the connecting factor, do it for them. There's an app that Susan found, I think it's called Signal, that she uses with everyone on training for 3 days at the fair. Our people are still training for it. And when they go on runs together, they can hit like send out a signal, be like, I'm getting kind of beat. I've been here for 3 hours, and this race is going to be canceled anyway. I don't see the point anymore. And then they can start communicating with each other, either by video or by texting, as I understand, and support each other while they're out there on long runs. So maybe get her and a couple of her friends from her teams to use an app like Signal. Maybe it's, finding some way. Maybe it's WhatsApp. Maybe it's, a TikTok challenge where they're all like, okay, find some silly thing that you can all do and compete on their own. Try to keep that competitive spirit in there somehow, if that's what she connects with. So find the piece, have a real conversation with your kid, find the piece that connects them to the thing. And then that is how you'll find the way to get them to exercise when exercising might seem pointless. But that really, try to be careful around that thinking, because everything might seem really pointless right now. And that type of thinking is not going to lead anywhere good. That's a depressive spiral. And we want to try to give our kids the tools to pull themselves out of that as quickly as possible. And the best way to do that is to make sure that we're not facilitating them. We don't want to otherize them or make them feel bad. It's okay to not be okay. We're not going to tell you what to feel or how to deal, but we're also not going to let you sit and stew in a whole lot of apathy. We're going to remember what was good, find a way to connect that thing that you liked, that thing that made you happy. And we're going to keep doing that thing, because this too shall pass. And when it does, you want to be able to enjoy that thing once more. So That's my 2 cents. But my kids are little, and I gotta go feed them dinner. You're coached. You are loved. Keep winning at life this week and every week. If you thank you for joining the broadcast live, and we look forward to seeing Lovey, our new coach, later this week in the Facebook groups. If you have follow-up questions, feel free to put them in the thread here and I will come answer. Otherwise, we hope that if you're hearing this in our podcast feed for Running Life, the official podcast of the Fitness Protection Program, we thank you for being here. We thank you for subscribing. You are all coached. You are loved. We got a whole nother week ahead. We marched all the way through March. Bring it on, April. See ya.